Hi, my name is Julie Paquette, and I work at the Downtown Library as a reference assistant. And today we're going to talk with Susan Guy about her latest book and get to know her a little bit better and ask her some questions. So let's get started. Hi, Susan.
Hello.
Today I thought we'd primarily focus on the Moonlight Mill murders of Steubenville, since that's your latest book.
Okay.
And what I want to congratulate you on is that it's the top nonfiction book checked out in 2020 at the Public Library System.
That's good to know.
That's pretty cool. So just tell us about yourself and what where you're from. And
this is my new book, Moonlight Mill Murders of Steubenville, Ohio. My name is Susan Guy. I have been a corrections officer for over 27 years at the Beaumont Correctional Institution for the state of Ohio. And before that, I was a Cross Creek Township Police Sergeant, and I worked that job for 15 years. And I have been interested in genealogy for about 30 years, and the genealogy is what led me eventually into writing. So.
And you were born and raised in Jefferson County, right?
Born and raised in Jefferson County, the daughter of a police captain for Wintersville, and my mother wrote poetry.
So are you considered a true crime author? That's what I wasn't sure about.
Yeah, everything I write about is true crime. I am published by the History Press and Arcadia Publishing, and that's what they do is local true crime, local histories, whether it be like, a history of the breweries in your town or, whatever. But, my focus is on true crime, and they expect me to write local true crime. So that's where I'm focused at, and I love the 20s and 30s, and I focus most of my books around that. I may progress a little further into the more present, but that won't be for a while.
Yeah, it seemed like those were pretty amazing times in Steubenville.
Yeah, they were.
A lot of things that our generation now doesn't even know about, and so it's really nice to have your books that share what that period was like. So tell us how you got involved with the Phantom murder case that we read about, and our book club has read this book this month as well.
Okay, the Phantom murder case, I found it through researching the first book. I was just gathering stories on crime and prostitution in the area.
And this was your first book. I'll hand that to you too.
Oh, okay. This is the first book, Mobsters, Madams, and Murder in Steubenville, Ohio. The covers are similar because that's how the History Press designs their covers, and which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But this would show Steubenville in the early 20s, early 1910s, and the murder victims. In this case, in Mobsters, Madams, and Murder, these are people who were executed at the penitentiary for crimes they had committed. In the new book, Moonlight Mill Murders, these are his victims. Became aware of the Moonlight Mill Murders while researching the first book, and I set that story aside and saved it for a later time. And when I was doing book signings and appearances for the first book, I did have some people come up to me and tell me that their fathers were at the mill during the time that those murders happened, and they asked me if I would write about it, and I did. I told them I would look into it, that I had already, checked it out and everything, and that sort of stayed with me, because it was important to them, and they wanted to see it, so that's why I ended up doing it. But it took a while, because I didn't really know how to write it, but then when I realized a lot of things at the time, like John Dillinger was coming through the area. They were looking for him at that time. They were looking for Pretty Boy Floyd. I thought that's the angle I'm going for, to draw people in, and because everybody loves the gangster,
The mob.
period. Yeah.
Right.
So that's how I wrote it, and I think it was successful. I guess time will tell. The reviews will tell, but
I enjoyed it, and I'm sure a lot of the ladies in our book club did as well. But I will find out for sure tomorrow.
yeah.
But so what kind of process do you use? I don't have any idea what you go about when you start to write a book. Do you do the research first? Or?
Yeah, I always do the research. I love research, and I love that more than the writing. And there's people in my own family that I'm going to eventually write about. That there's some pretty amazing stories there. But one thing I learned from the TV show Murder, She Wrote.
Oh.
Jessica Fletcher used a bulletin board, and she put all of her people in the book on little cards on the bulletin board. So that's what I do.
Oh, that's
I
great.
put my killers, and then I put my victims, put the lawyers, the cops, whoever. And I put them in order, and so I know who I'm looking at right away, and so I don't leave any important things out. So it'll all be on my board.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at the whole picture then.
So Jessica Fletcher did teach me something.
That's one of my favorite television shows.
That was my mother's favorite, yeah.
Tell me what kind of reaction you've gotten. I guess you did kind of tell me from the first book that people have read the books and then they come to you and start telling you stories probably about
Yeah. Yes, I've had people tell me they went to mob weddings and they were going to bring me pictures of it, and I haven't seen them since. So I was really looking forward to it. Yeah. The first book, I appeared at the Toronto, their little museum with a bunch of authors. I always like when a bunch of local authors get together. We get to talk and compare notes and stuff like that. But a gentleman brought me pictures of a Ku Klux Klan funeral.
Oh my gosh.
And they didn't know what it was from until they read my book. And they realized it was Prohibition Officer I think it was John Cole or John McCoy's funeral. And they realized what they had, and they gave me copies of the pictures.
That's pretty amazing.
So, yeah, it was awesome.
All the photos that we're going to show, you have a lot of amazing photos there.
Yeah, I collect what I need. If I can find it on eBay, I will buy photos, old postcards, whatever, and use those if I can,
Wow.
If I can't, they're in my collection anyway. So.
Yeah, and who knows, you might need it somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you recommend reading the first book before the other one? Because I did it backwards, but I still really enjoyed the Moonlight Mill Murders.
The Moonlight Mill Murders takes place directly after the last story in the book. The murder of the Yorkville mayor, Benjamin Oliver, was the last murder in the book, and that was in 1933. And then that's when Prohibition had ended. Right around the time of the trial for Benjamin Oliver, and then a couple months later, the killings at the mill started. One didn't really have anything to do with the other, but it's just the timing of it. Everybody thought, okay, Prohibition's over, maybe we can get back to normal around here, and that's not what happened. So
I can't imagine that time period, how scary it was for people. So I was noticing on the day of the trial, Pretty Boy Floyd, who I think you wrote in the book, Public Enemy #1 of the FBI, stole the headlines as he met his death in a shootout in Wellsville. That is so close to Steubenville. It's pretty, amazing that all happened in the same time period.
Yeah, Sheriff Ray B. Long had to go up there with a posse, so he was pretty busy. Then he had to come back and testify at the mill trial.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Yeah, he kind of took the spotlight, I guess. And I was noticing, your book contains a lot of very detailed descriptions of the trial and conclusions at the end of the trial. How do you find out that kind of information? Just from reading the articles and talking to people? Or?
That was back then. The trials were put in the newspaper.
Oh.
And then somebody would basically write everything that happened. And they would take out the most important parts and put it in there.
Oh.
And they stopped doing it. They need to start doing that again. But,
yeah. Was that in the courthouse papers, records?
The newspaper, the Steubenville
Just the newspaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't take everything verbatim. Well, a lot of it may be, but I wanted to put a lot of it into my own words. But the actual testimony is the actual testimony. So that's a little hard to do.
Yeah.
But I do have permission to use the newspaper. I get the permission from the Herald Star, and they just want me to credit them with it.
So you did, I noticed
Yeah.
that on all yours. Do you think there was ever a motive? There was never a motive identified for the
No, but
Dasco. That's right, his name.
David Dasco
Dasco.
was the killer. He was a World War I veteran, and he was in one of the bloodiest battles of World War I.
Oh,
And he had been missing for a while. So who knows what he claimed in one of the in some of the testimony that he had been wounded, and they're saying there was no evidence of that, but he had been missing. So odds were he was recovering.
Yeah.
And he saw a lot. So at the time, the term would be shell shocked.
Oh.
So I'm thinking that's what he suffered from. And all these guys supposedly had a German background. Confess, you mean? No. Somebody may have tossed him around a bit, but no.
Did he? I can't. I'm
No,
not going to ask you that because they'll have to read the book.
Yeah,
to find
you'll
that out.
have to. Yeah.
I'm not going to give that away. Sorry. That's a question I'll ask you after we're off the tape. I was noting that you use the Ancestry and Newspaper Archive, newspapers.com. Do you find a lot of stuff about Steubenville in the Newspaper Archive and the newspapers.com?
Yes, there's a lot of the Steubenville papers and the old papers all on Newspaper Archives. But what's not on there, then I go to the Chapel Library and I'll sit on the microfiche machine, and I'll go through papers until I find what I need.
Wow.
And the library's been good to me.
Yeah.
They're good at helping out.
They're good out there, boy.
And then Ancestry.com, the census, it's amazing what you'll find in the census. I also go to the library and look through the city directories, and I find tons of information that way.
Where people lived and things like that?
Yeah. Yep. And live, work.
I forgot it says it on the census report.
Relatives, maybe, you'll
live
find
with them?
Yeah. And then
borders.
I will do a family tree on everyone in the book. If there's a name in the book, I'll do a family tree on it.
Oh my goodness.
And see if anybody's connected. And I'll find out lots of the stuff that way. I just dig until I find whatever information I can get out of a family tree.
That's fascinating. That's a lot of work to do.
It is, but I love it. So.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like work.
No.
Well, that's pretty cool. How did you get to be involved with History Press? I know you said they have a certain way they want things and certain requirements.
One night, the girl that talked me into doing the writers group or the class, the writing class, when we met through genealogy, we used to sit on the phone and talk for hours. What's going out? We used to sit on the phone and talk for hours, and as I was writing this book, she was helping me. We're trying to figure out who to send this book to see if I could get it published. And we're just looking back at the books that we had.
Okay.
So one of us found the History Press, so I sent him an email right that night. and told them what I had, and they said, Steubenville, I want that. We want that. And right away I got a deal with them.
Wow,
So,
that's amazing.
and then after that, you know, any other books, they'll ask. They asked me to do a book on one crime, so that's how this one ended up getting there too. So,
Do you have more projects with them lined up?
yes. Well, not lined up with them yet. They don't know about them yet, but yeah, I'm working on a few. So,
Especially if they are interested in Steubenville.
yeah.
I wanted to know too, if people are watching this, they might want to know where they can purchase your books, and you can check them out from the library as well. But
Yeah.
but if they want to purchase them, I know people like to do that for gifts and things.
If they, you know, well, it's on the History Press, Arcadia Publishing. It's on their website, and it's on Amazon.com. Some Walmarts, I believe, have it. You can order it through them.
Wow.
Books A Million, Barnes and Noble. I mean, it's all over the world because the History Press started out in the United Kingdom, and then in the United States, they are based in Mount Pleasant, which is in part of Charleston, South Carolina. And so they take care of all the getting it out there, getting it done.
Oh, that's nice. I know you mentioned something to me before when we were talking. Tell me about your next book and what you're working on.
My next book, I want to start getting into unsolved murders, and I know people are going to want me to get into unsolved murders in this time frame, but I'm starting out with a hammer murder from the 1920s, and a couple of murders that happened in the mid-30s. And so that's going to be the next book. And all three have not been solved. Even though they, you know, I got a pretty good idea who did some of them. But so that's my next project. And in May, my sister and I are going to be going down to Florida, where the one murder happened. It's Steubenville people involved, but the murder took place in Florida. And I've already been in contact with the authorities there, and they have no records of it or anything, because they don't keep records back that far.
Oh my goodness.
But the library ladies down there helped me and GPS the murder spot for me, and
wow.
So I don't want to write about a place that I've never visited. So my sister's going with me to visit and take pictures down there. And I've already talked to some great-great-grandchildren of the murder victim.
Oh my goodness.
So they can't wait to see what happened to their great-great-grandfather.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I saw you said 350 people were in that courtroom, I think, or something like that, the number?
It was crowded.
Crammed into the courtroom. Yes. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming today and talking with us.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about your books, or?
No, I'm just sorry that COVID sort of put a crimp in things, because I really enjoy talking to people when I do the book signings and everything, and I love to hear what people have to tell me, and then I want to ask them what they want me to write about next.
Yeah. You said bookmarks. You work with them a lot.
Yes.
I forgot to bring them up.
Bookmarks has been awesome with everybody in our writers group, the TriState Writers Society, and they support the local authors very much. And then I've done a few book signings for them with this new book, and then it went really well. So
hopefully we'll be able to plan something after we get past having all of our no programming problems.
I know.
And that would be great, because I'm sure people would like to talk to you, especially after reading the book. And I know a lot of the ladies have also read your first book as well. So let's see, there was something else.
Well, I hope they liked it.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I've heard nothing but good things from people that check out the books, both of them.
That's good.
So, I mean, it's just a fascinating part of time in Steubenville's history.
I know.
That you know, and if you have the background you do, you know what kinds of questions to ask and where to find the research, and
Yeah.
That must be fascinating. It's kind of like a bug, like the genealogy bug that bites people.
I love it. I love the fact that now they're using genealogy and DNA to solve unsolved murders. So I'm hoping we can do that here, because we have a lot of unsolved murders, and when I retire, which is in about 185 days,
Oh.
I want to work with that company. It's called Parabon. I would love to work with them and help solve some of those cases.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like to see an end to some of the,
Yeah.
Tell me, how would people get involved with the TriState Writers Association if they have, the same desire to maybe learn how to start writing or have an idea for a book already, or
Well, the TriState Writers Society.
society?
Yeah, we had been meeting down at the we call it the Castle House down at the end of North 4th
Mm-hmm.
Street. That's where we had our last few meetings, but we haven't met for a year, thanks to COVID.
Oh, yes.
But it is, when we do get started back up, it is the second Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. And then we have a Facebook page that you can ask to join, and either I or Karina Garrison, who heads it up, she's our president, will put you on that site. And it's for anybody that's an aspiring author. You come and we do writing exercises and
TriState
Writer Society.
Writers Society.
Yes. Yeah, you're welcome to come if you have the bug you want to write, even if it's for yourself. Come and just join us, and we sit and gab and have a good time and do the writing exercises. It's a lot of fun.
It sounds like they're really profitable too. If it helps you get started on that your whole experience of writing.
We've had a few people have their books on Amazon, and
oh wow,
yeah.
I know yours have done so well. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for everyone watching us today. We hope you enjoyed our time here today, and hopefully you'll look for Susan's books. You can check them out here, or you can buy them at the places she mentioned, at Amazon and Bookmarks here in town, and the Fort too, right?
Yeah,
well.
Fort Steuben.
Fort Steuben. Mm-hmm. And you can check, like I said, you can check them out at the library, or they make great gifts. I know several people who have done that too as well. So thank you so much for today. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.